Imagine this: a city built on a lake with towering temples, a king so feared his enemies trembled at the very sound of his name, and a civilization at the height of power, wealth, and brutality. Who's in charge of all this? That would be Ahuitzotl, the Aztec emperor who took his empire to its zenith through war, politics, and of course, human sacrifice. Today, we're going to dive deep into the life of Ahuitzotl, the man who ruled over the Aztecs from 1486 to 1502, turned his empire into a powerhouse, and left a legacy that still echoes throughout history. Subscribe because this is one wild ride. Ahuitzotl was born around the year 1440, and while his early life wasn't documented in detail, we know this much: he was born into a family of warriors. His name means the water that moves in Nahuatl, a name that hints at his connection to the powerful forces of nature and change. His reign began in 1486, following the death of his predecessor, Tizoc. But here's the twist: Tizoc wasn't exactly a great leader. His military campaigns didn't bring much glory, and the Aztec Empire was starting to look a little weak. Enter Ahuitzotl. He wasn't just a warrior. He was a leader, a strategist, and a builder. Under his reign, the Aztec Empire became unstoppable. So, how did Ahuitzotl get to the throne? Well, like most Aztec rulers, it was a blend of politics, war, and ambition. Ahuitzotl was an experienced military leader. His career was built on victories in battle and establishing alliances with neighboring city-states. But he didn't just rely on brute force. He was smart, using both diplomacy and deception to expand his influence. And when the opportunity came, Ahuitzotl made his move. He didn't just take the throne by force. He had the backing of the military and the powerful priesthood. In the Aztec world, religion and politics were inseparable, and Ahuitzotl knew how to use this to his advantage. Once in power, Ahuitzotl wasted no time making his mark. One of his most significant achievements? The expansion of the Aztec Empire to its greatest size and power. He launched a series of military campaigns that saw the Aztecs expand into new territories, taking control of regions that would contribute to their wealth and power. And I'm talking about some serious conquests here. Ahuitzotl's armies pushed into the Maya regions of the Yucatan Peninsula and Tierra Caliente, conquering city-states that hadn't even been on the Aztecs' radar before. And of course, what do you do with a newly conquered city-state? Well, the Aztecs had this little ritual of demanding tribute. Things like gold, cotton, and, oh yeah, human sacrifices. Every conquest brought wealth and sacrificial victims, ensuring that Ahuitzotl could keep his empire strong and his people loyal. But his empire wasn't just built on bloodshed. He was also a builder. Remember how I said Ahuitzotl wasn't just about war? Well, he left a legacy in the form of monumental building projects. One of his crowning achievements was the expansion of the Templo Mayor, the main temple in Tenochtitlán, dedicated to the gods Huitzilopochtli and Tlaloc. Under Ahuitzotl's leadership, the Templo Mayor became even more majestic, towering over the city. He even had a second, even larger, version of it built during his reign. And it wasn't just the Templo Mayor. Ahuitzotl expanded the aqueducts, improved the city's chinampas, floating gardens, and created new marketplaces. Tenochtitlan was a hub of trade, culture, and religion, and Ahuitzotl made sure it was the brightest jewel in the Aztec Empire. Okay, let's talk about the brutal side of Ahuitzotl's reign. While he was an incredible leader, he was also known for his mercilessness, especially when it came to warfare and human sacrifice. Ahuitzotl wasn't shy about using human sacrifice to keep his gods happy. The Aztecs believed that the sun needed to be constantly fed with human blood to rise each day. And Ahuitzotl? He took this to another level. In fact, he is said to have sacrificed thousands of prisoners during his reign, especially after his major victories. After the conquest of Tepanec in 1497, Ahuitzotl allegedly had 20,000 prisoners sacrificed in one single ceremony. And here's the thing, he wasn't just doing this for show. Sacrificing enemies was a political tool. It intimidated rivals and helped solidify his power over his people. Ahuitzotl ruled for 16 years, and during that time, the Aztec Empire reached its apex. But as with all great empires, His reign eventually came to an end. Ahuitzotl's final years were marked by a series of natural disasters, floods, famine, and disease, many of which were seen as signs of the god's displeasure. His reputation began to tarnish, and his empire, though vast and powerful, was now facing internal challenges. In 1502, Ahuitzotl died, and his nephew, Moctezuma II, succeeded him. Moctezuma would go on to become famous for his tragic encounter with the Spanish conquistadors just a few years later. So, what do we make of Ahuitzotl? A brutal, ruthless ruler? Absolutely. But also one of the most visionary leaders the Aztecs ever had. His empire reached its peak under his watch, and he left a legacy that lasted long after his death. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more epic history deep dives.